Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Fast Money Football. I'm your host, Albert Vartanian, joined by my co-host today, James Sharman. And James, another fantastic weekend in the Premier League. The bets weren't too bad either. I went 2-1. I had Leeds, which was the one. They disappointed against Everton. No goals for them. Everton looked fantastic. Looked like Lampard switched to a back four. That helped them a lot. But I did hit both teams to score the Manchester United-Southampton game, and Wolves, draw no bet, beating Spurs. Another loss at home for Spurs. And I think we should probably start there. What's gone wrong? What's happening under Conte right now?
I don't know. You see his post-match press conference, right? And he's just
Yep.
he seems like he just wants to quit and walk out and says, "I don't know what to do with these guys." I mean, defensively, they were just shambolic. They don't start games properly.
No.
When Hugo Lloris is an issue, that's a big problem because he's been brilliant for them for many years. I don't know what it is. Are they confused? Are they nervous? At times, they look pretty good. And at what point do we start really questioning Harry Kane? He's got 5 goals on the season, and I know that there's more issues than Harry Kane in that side right now at the back in particular, like I said. But he is the talisman. He is the guy that a good team should jump on his back and let him carry them through the trenches. And he's not doing it this year. Is he sulking? Is he upset because of the move? There's got to be a lot of criticism towards Harry Kane right now. But overall, I look at Antonio Conte and what he inherited there. It was a mess. It seems to be a bit of a mess as well. The fact that there's teams around them in the table that aren't great means that they're still very much in contention for top 4 football if they can turn it around. But I mean, does Conte want to stay there? You see his body language, Albert, and I think, does he think maybe he made a mistake here? Is he going to be a guy that walks away in the summer? I don't know. There's talent there for sure, but there's a lot of issues as well.
Yeah, going back to Kane, I noticed in that game in particular, he dropped into the midfield a lot.
He
When
does
things
that.
aren't going well for Spurs and players aren't creating for him, he tends to drop in and try and do everything. And that's when he doesn't score goals. As good as he is, he can't be the player creating everything. The midfield is a real issue for Spurs at the moment. Yes, they brought in Bentancur, but Bentancur and Harry Winks in the midfield, it doesn't seem to be working. They were just cut open time and time again by a team that can't really score. They're in the bottom 3 for scoring. And if you give up 2 comical goals to the second best defense in the league, you're probably not going to come back, whether you're at home or away. So big problems there. And back to Conte, he's kind of riddle me this, riddle me that when it comes to his post-match stuff, which kind of bothers me. But he did say this. You can't buy a winning mentality when speaking about players. I disagree. I think you can. I think we've seen that with Chelsea and Manchester City. But what do you make of that?
Yeah, it's a good point because everyone always points at Chelsea, don't they?
Yeah.
And Tuchel. And they say when he took over, that team was in disarray. They were infighting. Apparently, they couldn't defend. And within a month, he turned it around. Now, they have struggled recently, although they are the world champions. Should mention that, by the way.
Right.
For whatever that's worth, they won the
Whatever
Club
that
World Cup
means.
this
Yeah.
weekend. I know what it means. But, it can be done. And Conte's done it before as well. He's done it at Chelsea, right, himself. So he's done it before. He seems to be a very moody person. I'm not sure he enjoys coaching football, right? He's a multi-layered individual, and I think he demands a certain buy-in from his players, and he doesn't suffer fools gladly. And I'm sure he's not an easy guy to play under when things are going badly. And when you see that opening half an hour or so on the weekend, you see a bunch of players who I think they look almost nervous, terrified to make a mistake. They're so tentative, in the mistakes they make. So, yeah, there's major issues there. But like I said, it's a crazy league this year. It's hard to tell who's where because of the games played and the games in hand and all the COVID postponements. So if you're a Spurs fan, don't lose faith just yet. You're still very much in the conversation for top 4 football, but the signs aren't looking good. I'll go as far as saying they're pretty ominous right now.
Yeah. And I mean, it can only get better, right? You got Manchester City coming up. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
there.
exactly, right?
They have, listen to this. They haven't beat a top 10 team under Conte. Lost 3, drawn 2. I don't expect them to get a result at Manchester City. I think going into these 3 games, or the third game will be Manchester City, they were hoping for at least maybe 4 points. You beat Southampton, which Spurs should be expected to do, even though Southampton, they're a very good side, as we saw against Manchester United, and we'll talk about that. And then maybe a draw against Wolves. I think, 4 points heading into that City game, you can take the loss. But now there's a lot more pressure on this side. I don't know where they go from here. I think Conte's real splash and his impact on the team is going to come in the summer when he's actually allowed to ship out some players and spend some real money.
Well, we're seeing a lot of teams right now looking ahead to the summer and having a clear out because Spurs could be one of those teams. But he needs to be given the money as well.
Right.
And if he's told, well, yeah, you can spend money, but you got to sell first, I'm not sure if that will bind to his plan. We've seen him fall out at every club he's been at so far, usually over transfers, be it Inter
Yeah.
Milan, be it Chelsea. He always falls out because he wants things done a certain way, and these owners do it their way. So, it's a massive summer for Spurs. They have to retain him, if you ask me. He's a fantastic manager, but he needs his kind of players in there. And as when you see managers assume jobs mid-season, they don't have their own players. It takes time, which is why they need to be given patience. But also, they have to have patience themselves too. And
Right.
that's where I'm concerned about Conte. Has he got the patience to stick around at a club like Spurs when there's going to be some big jobs available this summer, including up north at Old Trafford?
Yeah, and you need to back your manager, especially like Conte. You have a manager who comes in who has a clear plan, and I think there's not many managers out there that have that clear plan. He does. He's just like, just give me the money, let me get my players, and we'll have
Easy.
it all sorted, right? But
Yeah,
so anyway, Wolves.
precisely. But
Yeah, back to Wolves. 4
mm,
points off of West Ham. James, 2 games in hand. We've been talking about them for the past few weeks, but at what point do the rest of the teams, the rest of the league, and the rest of the people start taking Wolves seriously as a top four contender?
yeah, I think we have to. I mean,
Right.
when I saw them scoring 2 goals this weekend, I thought, "Uh-oh, have they suddenly found their ruthless touch?" Because if they can find that, watch out, because they are so great defensively. Their goal differential is tiny, right? What is it? I've got it right here. The goal differential is Wolves, +4,
Yeah.
right? +4. They're in seventh place.
Yeah.
They are, 4 points out of fourth place with games in hand. We have to buy into this team
I
as
think
being
so.
a legitimate top four team right now. And if they can find their goals, they lose players. We know that the Jotas of the world, but they have guys like Raul Jimenez, who on his day, when he's healthy, 100% and confident, is as good as you're going to find in the Premier League, I think. So yeah, an excellent team, well-coached team. They were stale, I think, under Espirito Santo. So that's partly what I think Bruno Lage has discovered, and now they're playing for him. They're tough to break down, and we've seen this before. We've seen teams win championships with incredible defense, be it
Yeah.
Arsenal, be it Chelsea. Now, those teams also had some attack, of course, and they've got to address that this summer. But if you're Wolves right now, they got some money behind them. They got their scouting tentacles all around Europe, in particular Portugal. They got a plan for this summer. Speaking of the team with a plan, Albert, that's a team that always has a plan.
Right.
There's that murky ownership structure with Jorge Mendes, but it's worked out really well for them so far. I love this team. They are cemented now as not just a Premier League team, but a very good Premier League team. And 5 years ago, that certainly was not the case. So I'm a huge fan of this team. I love watching them play. They play better football than I think we give them credit for as well.
Yeah, I
But
mean, they're tough to break down. I mean, that you
yeah,
can't take that away from them. That is their plan. They have a clear plan, like you mentioned, and the goals are slowly coming. James, 8 goals in last 6. Pedro Neto is now in training, which would be a huge boost.
huge.
Hwang Hee Chan, he's back. So attacking players and attacking positions are coming back into the fold for Bruno Lage. So I really like them. I think a top four, it's going to be difficult. It's difficult for Spurs, United, or Arsenal, so it's going to be tough for them as well. But you finish in top 6 and you finish in a European position for Wolves, that's a huge achievement.
It's a stepping stone, isn't it,
Yeah.
to where they want to be? And they always said we want to be a Champions League team when they first, reappeared with the new ownership. They want to be a Champions League team, and they're on that pathway. And yeah, this might be too soon this season, but get to Europa League, become a Europa League team and take it from there. And they will spend this summer, like I said, and they know who they're going to spend it on. And if I'm a Wolves fan, I'm delighted because this is a new Wolves. And hey, they got a great crest, so I'm just happy that they're there.
Yeah, and they've been such a great addition to the Premier League.
They have.
We have to say that. Arsenal, West Ham away next for Wolves. Massive games. If they can pick up 4 points, if they can pick up 6 points, I mean they're right in the thick of it. United against Southampton, 1-1. Another draw for Manchester United. We keep talking about this, and I'm trying to figure out what's next. Like, how do we talk about this team? And I went through their results. I mean, they only have 1 loss in their last 12 games. I mean, are we overreacting?
Yeah, no, we're not, because it's Manchester United. At what point do we say, all right, they're a huge club, maybe the biggest club in England, but they're not the Ferguson United anymore.
No.
All right, so let's not pretend, that's not holding to that standard, because that's impossible to reach that standard. But at the same time, they just can't put in 90 minutes. They don't look good out there. Their body language just sucks. I don't think the Rangnick experiment is working at all. What the fans have promised when he arrived, we just have not seen. The style of football they play is not working. Are they better off under Rangnick than they would have been had they kept Ole Gunnar Solskjaer around?
That's a good
I
point.
don't know. They're lurking around the same kind of positions right now. They have no ruthless touch. Ronaldo's not happy at all. They're easy to play against. They're just an average team, as simple as that. And they need to be rebuilt. There's so many managers over the last number of years bringing in their own players. You got this mix that isn't working. And I really think that as much as it's easy to point fingers at Rangnick, we got to point fingers at the players. Say,
Yes.
listen, it's on you. You can't keep pointing the finger somewhere else. There's major issues there. I think you're going to see a complete rebuild this summer. There's still some talent there, of course. You've got some great young players there, exciting young players, but you got to move on and get, if it's going to be Pochettino, bring in his kind of players, because right now the players they have cannot fit into that Rangnick system to me, because they look disjointed. They play a good first half and they come out second half and it's a different team entirely. So big problems.
Yeah, and the issues are fundamentals. It's a lot of just tracking back and being in the right position and
Yeah.
clearing your lines. It's just stuff that they aren't doing. So I'm with you. I think it's on the players as much as it is on Ralph Rangnick. He said, to be honest, I don't know if we are fit enough to play that way, because I came in middle of the season. He was talking about how, he wants his team to play a high press. I mean,
Been there long enough.
And you try and
Fitness
implement
levels,
that.
really, Ralph?
Yeah.
Really? He's been there long enough. Get the players fit. When Ralph Hasenhüttl, the opponent's coach, said this week, listen, they're not. There's some players that that aren't prepared to track back. That's what he basically said.
Mhm.
When the opponent coach sees that, big problems. Big problems.
Yeah,
It's good to see Sancho scored a goal, which is good to see. I mean, he hasn't been a disaster, but he's been disappointing so far. He scored a goal, which is, there's some light, I suppose. Rashford's looked better, I think, in recent weeks. Pogba's back now for the time being, but are you going to rely on Paul Pogba? It's one of the greatest club enigmas in world football, right? Paul Pogba, he can be as good as anyone in world football, and he is when he puts a blue shirt on. But for some reason, that United red, he wilts, it seems.
If there's a player that I love watching play, it's him. When he's on, he's on. He's fantastic to watch. He was, I think, in the first half against Southampton. And then obviously, once again, they just wilt in the second half for whatever reason. A lot of players out of form at the same time for Manchester United. And back to Ronaldo, an unhappy Ronaldo in that dressing room must be this just massive elephant that's just hanging around, because he casts such a huge shadow.
It's been a disastrous signing, hasn't it?
It really has.
And I don't necessarily blame him entirely for it. Obviously he takes a lot of the blame, but the club's got issues there. But it just has not worked out in any capacity. And you're right. No one sulks better than Ronaldo, and no one flings his arms better than Ronaldo. And if you're a player in his team, he's the guy who has done it all, won it all, and was supposed to be the final piece. And when he's behaving that way, he can't be a fun guy to be around either, I don't think.
No.
Sure, he's a professional, and sure, all that crap we talk about. Yes, follow him, what he does. I'm not denying he's a great professional, but there's that element to him that when things are bad, you don't really want to be in the trenches with him, do you? When things are going well, oh yeah, you do, because he'll just boss the world. But things had better be fitting his world, and make sure Ronaldo's healthy and happy, and then everything's fine. But right now, it just isn't.
Yeah, I mean, his transfer could well pay off in the Champions League. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Maybe
he can dip run. When it comes to knockout football, I feel like anything can happen. You get some form over a couple of legs, and then you make a run. And when you have Ronaldo, who's one of the best Champions League players ever, maybe the best Champions League players ever, he's really going to help that team. Let's go look at some top four odds, current top four odds. Obviously, City, Liverpool, Chelsea should be locked into the top three, but you never know with Chelsea. Arsenal plus 125. United plus 200, Spurs plus 350, West Ham plus 700, Wolves 14-1.
Wow.
Yes.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
That's not bad.
We just eviscerated United, haven't we? we can't say that they're in the contention, right? We can't say, but they could finish top four. All right. They're out. Arsenal, as inconsistent as any team. Spurs, we've also eviscerated. Man, those Wolves odds and even the West Ham odds, they're really tempting, aren't they?
Not bad, yeah.
Are you going to lay some money on them, Albert?
I like the 14-1 on Wolves as a sprinkle. Why not? I mean, to me, when I look at the top four and teams chasing the top four, the best teams right now, probably West Ham, Arsenal, and Wolves, and I'd probably just put Arsenal and Wolves at the top at the moment based on current form.
Yeah.
Wolves are a very good team. If that badge wasn't a Wolf and it was a United crest or an Arsenal crest, we'd be like, this is fantastic. This is one of the best teams in the league at the moment.
If it's an Arsenal crest, you'd be saying, man, is this George Graham's Arsenal? 1-0 Arsenal? I mean, my word, that's how good they are. So I think I might lay a little sprinkle, as you say, on Wolves, because there's no reason to think that they're any less. I mean, Arsenal's, I guess, the one outlier there because they have more talent. They're
Yeah.
so inconsistent.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
are
you
they?
know what? 14-1, really?
Yes.
All right. I'm all over that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think it'd be good to get in before the West Ham and Arsenal games because if they win those games, those odds are just going to
Yeah.
start climbing to become one of the favorites to make the top four, which would be fantastic to see. Time to transition, James, to the Champions League. It's back. I'm excited
Mhm.
for it. Manchester City Sporting, one of the first games. I believe it's on Tuesday. Should be a pretty big game because Sporting are actually a very good team in the Portuguese league. You can say what you want about that Portuguese league, but this is a team that, I want to say overachieving, but they're just very good. I mean, they've scored in 27 consecutive games. They
Oh,
won the
yeah, they're
league
fine.
last year. They're a
Them and
very good
Porto.
team. Yeah.
Did you see the game on Friday? 2-2
Yeah.
against Porto, and was it, I think 4 or 5, I think 5 red cards in that match.
Pepe right in
Woo!
the mix.
Typical, like, Portuguese, big match. Always hell breaks loose. I
Yeah.
love it. They're
Yeah.
a really good team, absolutely. And they're gonna really cause City some issues there, I think. Don't forget that they beat out Dortmund in the group phase,
Yeah.
right? They fell just behind Ajax in the end, which is a great story. I'm sure we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, Sporting are legit. You don't just take care of Dortmund and should be, uh, you know, ignored. Excellent team. Pedro Gonzalez, 13 goals, one of the top players in Europe this season. Yeah, outstanding team. Outstanding team. I still think City are going to progress, but I can very much see a draw in this opening leg at Sporting.
Yeah, plus 900 for Sporting. I'm with you. I like the draw, but I'm going to go both teams to score plus 102. City, as good as they are defensively, they tend to have these like mental lapses once in a while at the back. And when you have a team like Sporting who scores goals, I think they can hit the back of the net. I see a 1-1 here. And Manchester City, yeah, I see them going through to the groups or to the next stage for sure. PSG, Real Madrid, also. This is the tie, right? This is massive.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
Sergio Ramos derby.
He's out though, isn't he? He's not
He
playing.
is
He's
out. He
hurt.
is out.
Yeah.
I like
Again.
this though. I like Real Madrid a lot in this position. I think they're a much better team than people give them credit for at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How they're playing. They're still, doing what they got to do domestically. They're not looking fantastic, but
No.
Gareth Bale made a comeback this past Friday out of the bushes. He played pretty well too. Had a lot of chances, So maybe he's the X factor in that aging Real Madrid team. And you look at that team, Toni Kroos still key in that midfield. Karim Benzema, he could be out for this one, which is a big loss. Obviously, he's missed 2 games, but they're saying he could make a return in time for this one, which would be a big bonus for them. But yeah, I think Real Madrid are excellent. And PSG, it's all about this tournament for them, isn't it? I mean, that's the pressure that Poch is feeling right now. 16 points clear in France. Neymar could be back for this one. We could finally be seeing that front three in a really meaningful match with Messi and Mbappe, which would be exciting to watch. It's all about this tournament. We want to see a team under enormous pressure. That's the team more than any other club, even more than Man City, who also feel pressure in this tournament. It's PSG, isn't it? But this could be a final. I'm really looking forward to this one at PSG, isn't it? This week is in Paris. But yeah, again, I could see a tight draw in this one. Then some fireworks in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Real Madrid draw no bet plus 163 because if Benzema's in, I think they can really nick this one. And PSG, and they lost 4 of the last 6 home games in the knockout stage. There seems to be an issue there, but they're coming into form. You look at Lionel Messi, I think he's been involved in the last 10 goals. Like he's starting to find his form for PSG. Now you throw Neymar into the mix, who has been off since November, but now he's ready to play. So interesting to see him in that lineup. When you put those 3 together, I mean, they can pretty much take on any team in the world.
They can. Yeah, I mean, listen. This is what we wanted, right? When Messi signed there, as in some ways anticlimactic as it was and disappointing as it was, you still thought, yeah, but Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, I have some of that, please. It's going to be great to watch. And they've let us down a little bit so far, mainly down to injuries. Let's be honest here. But you're right. Now Messi's clicking. If Neymar's and Mbappe are happy to let Messi kind of run the show, which it seems as if he's now doing. In that attack, it's going to be, if nothing else, a compelling and fascinating match to watch tactically. So, yeah, this is the one to watch for sure. Inter Milan Liverpool is great to watch too the next day, but I think this is the tie of the round, absolutely.
Quickly to wrap up the show, let's take a look at the Champions League outright odds. So, City, favorite, plus 275. Munich behind them, plus 350. Liverpool, 5-1. Chelsea, 6-1. PSG, 8-1. I think it's City's this year. I wouldn't lay the plus 275, but I feel like if it's not this year, then when is it?
Yeah, well, precisely. And, could be next year, I suppose.
Right.
It's so hard to win this tournament. That's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
It's not a case of just spending money and getting the right coach in place. Like you said before, Albert, these are knockout games essentially, right? Anything can happen. We see crazy results every year, but one of these years, PSG or City have to win it. You would
They
think,
have to, James.
right? They have to, but then we're discounting Bayern Munich, like you said there. Who I know they lost to Bochum this past weekend, but I mean it's still Bayern Munich. They're going to be a favorite. Liverpool are, not mentioned by many right now for some reason because despite City's brilliance, they've been fantastic. I don't know if we've seen this wealth of talent in the tournament for a long time. Any of these teams could win it, and it wouldn't be a surprise. So I think I'm with you though. I think City should rightly be the favorites. I'm surprised PSG is that far back actually, just purely I guess based on their record up until now. But yeah, it's going to be a great race to the final whistle. That's for sure.
United fans 18-1 for Manchester United to win the Champions League.
Don't do it.
James, watch them do it. Imagine.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Know.
Then what do you say? What do you say? Right? They finish top 4, win the Champions League. You're like, well, I guess this guy knows what he's doing.
Then
Probably
give
not
Rangnick the job. Give Ralph the job full time. In that case.
All right, James. Great chatting with you. You guys, you can follow us. Follow me at The Real Bird V. You can follow James Sharman on Twitter at The Real James Sharman, not The Real James Sharman. At James Sharman. He is the real James.
I'm the fake one.
Yeah, he's not the fake one. And you can follow The Parlay at The Parlay. If you want to watch more Parlay content, head over to parlay.tv. Cheers, guys.